All right, guys, we are on day 6. And remember, this is also a review worksheet. We have a quiz tomorrow. Okay, so I'm going to do a couple elimination problems like we did yesterday in class to refresh your memory. I'm going to do one substitution problem and one graphing problem. So I'm going to start with number 1. You can see the highlighted ones are the ones that I'm going to do. What I'm noticing right away about number 1 is look at my y's. These are all nice and lined up and set up to be eliminated right away if I just add the two lines together. So I'm going to put a plus sign here and I'm going to add. And I'm going to do my 5x and my negative 8x, which makes negative 3x. I'm going to add my negative 2y and my positive 2y. Those cancel out and gives you 0, so you don't have to write anything. Keep the equal sign, and I'm going to take my 4 and my negative 10, which makes negative 6. Now, in order to get the x by itself, I will divide both sides by negative 3. And I get x equals 2. Okay, so that's cool. And just remember that when we write our answers, we write them as an ordered pair. And the x always goes first, and the y always goes second. So just remember the thing that's kind of sucky about these is that this is half of our answer. I'm going to take this 2 and I'm going to plug it in. The top equation looks a little bit easier to me, so I'm going to write that down here. Minus 2y equals 4. Remember, you could use this equation or this one. It doesn't matter. You'll get the same answer, but I'm just going to take this 2, which is equal to x, and I'm going to plug it in right here for this x. And I wrote it down here so I had a little bit more room. 5 times 2 is 10. To try and get the y by itself, I will subtract 10 from both sides. 4 minus 10 is negative 6. Divide by negative 2. Y equals 3. That is a negative 2, by the way. It looks like a 2, but it is not. It's negative 2. And y equals 3. And that means that I'm going to put 3 in my answer. Okay. Next one I want to do is number 4. This is a refresher of what we did yesterday, you guys. Okay, everything's lined up. Look at the x. Those don't cancel if I add them together. These don't cancel if I add them together, so that's a problem. I bet, or I wonder, if I multiplied my top equation by 2, I'm going to write it down here to keep everything lined up. Distribute the 2 to everything. Let's take a look at what happens. So I did 2 times x, which is 2x. I did 2 times y, which is positive 2y. And I did 2 times 6, which is 12. Don't forget about this number over here. You have to distribute the 2 to everything, including this number, which is why it changed to 12. Okay, so now look what happens with my, my variables. So I have 4x and 2x. That doesn't cancel, but I have negative 2y and positive 2y. That is why I chose to multiply my top row by 2, because I knew that would make this 2y and this would be negative 2y, and those would cancel. Yes, you could have also multiplied this top row by negative 4 if you were wondering that, and that would make this negative 4x, and that would make this positive 4x. Then the x's would cancel, and you would still be able to get the correct answer. So there are multiple correct ways to do these problems, and if you have a specific question on that, please let one of us know and we can answer it for you. So I'm going to add my rows together. 4x and 2x make 6x. I already crossed out my negative 2y and my positive 2y. Those are gone, and I have equals 0 plus 12 is just 12. Divide 6, and I get x equals 2. That is awesome. So remember, my ordered pair answer is going to be 2, comma, something. Let's figure out what the answer is going to be. I'm going to take my 2. The top equation looks a little bit easier to me, so I'll plug it into that one. You could also plug it in right here and still get the correct answer. But I'm going to plug it into this top equation. So instead of x, I'm going to write 2 plus y equals 6. I'm going to subtract the 2. And I get y equals 4. So that completes my ordered pair. Those are elimination problems like we did yesterday, you guys. Let me do one more here. Number 5. One way that you could do this is multiply this bottom row by 5. That would make this negative 5y, and that would make this positive 5y, and those would cancel. Let me show you another trick. What if I just multiplied every single thing in this equation by negative 1? That would make it negative 4x and positive y and negative 2. When you multiply something by negative 1, it just changes all of these signs. So that is kind of cool. I'm going to cross it out so I don't get confused. And now I have positive 4x and negative 4x. Those cancel. And now I have 5y and another y, which makes 6y. And now I have positive 2 and negative 2, which makes 0. That doesn't mean no solution. It's just 0. And that means when I divide by 6 on both sides, you can check your calculator on this. You end up with y equals 0 divided by 6 is 0. That's the ordered pair for the y value. I'm putting it second because remember the y always goes second. Okay, you can take this 0 and you can plug it in wherever you want. I'll just use the top equation since I crossed out the bottom equation. This 0 is going to go in for y, and I'm going to write it down here. 4x plus 5 times 0 equals 2. So 5 times 0 is just 0. I still have the 4x and I still have the 2. So what this means is we don't really need the 0, right? You can erase it. Plus 0 does nothing. I'm going to divide both sides by 4. And be careful, x is not 2. 2 divided by 4 is actually 1/2. Or 0.5. You can put a decimal answer if you want to. Either of those is correct. Okay, so there's our answer for that one. Let me do one substitution and one graphing, okay? Remember substitution. So these were all nice and lined up with like x's, y's, number. Notice how all of these have x's, y's, number. In this case, this one looks a little bit different because we have y equals something. So if you remember from a couple days ago, that means that I can take all of this stuff that y equals and I can plug it in for y. And I can solve it that way. So I'm going to write 5x plus 3. I have a giant space for all that other stuff that I circled. All of this is going to go right here. That's why I wrote a big space right there. So all of this is going to go down here. So you can put it in a different color if you want to. Negative 5x plus 16. Make sure you distribute whatever number is there. That's why the parentheses are pretty important. So I have 5x plus, when I do 3 times negative 5x, I get negative 15x. And when I do 3 times 16, I get, oh boy, what is that, 48 equals 8. I'm going to combine my like terms. I have a positive 5x and a negative 15x, which makes a negative 10x. Check that in your calculator. 5 minus 15 is negative 10x. Plus 48 equals 8. When I subtract 48 over, just trying to get the x by itself, I have negative 10x and I have negative 40. Let's divide, I got negative 40 by just subtracting these. Let's divide both sides by negative 10. So I have x equals 4. Nice. Where can I plug that for? You have a couple different options, but I think it would probably be pretty easy. Some of you could do this in your head. Take the 4 and plug it in right there. So you get y equals negative 5 times 4 plus 16. Negative 5 times 4 is negative 20. Negative 20 plus 16 is negative 4. Nailed it. Okay, so that is how to do substitution. That's a substitution problem. All of these up here that I did were elimination problems. They're just different ways of doing the problem and getting the answer. Let's do this graphing one. When you're given a graph, that means graph it, right? Okay, so this problem, I'm going to do 2 different colors. I'm going to do this one in purple. Remember that this means you put your first dot on negative 5. And remember, it's a y-intercept. It's called a y-intercept for a reason. That means you start on the y-axis, which is this one. Negative 5 is right there. So there's your first dot. Negative 5. Do I have to shade for these? This is an equal sign. This is an equal sign. No shading. That's only when you have a less than or a greater than sign. Anyways, what is the slope of this line? It's 3. And remember, you can make it into a fraction to help you with the counting by putting it over 1. That means up 3 over 1. So 1, 2, 3, 1. 1, 2, 3, 1. 1, 2, 3, 1. And you continue. So up 3 over 1 is here. Up 3 over 1. You could also go down 3 left 1. This is my purple line. It's kind of hard to do a straight line on the iPad, is it not? And make it connect. Anyways. Okay, there's one. Now I've got a different equation, which is this one. I'll do this one in red. Again, this one means I start on 3. Remember, you always start on the y-axis. Positive 3 is right here. So I put my first dot right there. And the slope there is, remember, you can make it 1x. And you can put that over 1 to help with your counting. So up 1 over 1. Up 1 over 1, up 1 over 1, up 1 over 1, up 1 over 1, up 1 over 1. It's kind of hard to tell where they're going to intersect. Maybe I should put a few more dots on this purple line. Remember, for purple, I was going up 3. 1, 2, 3 over 1. 1, 2, 3 over 1. I'm just going to keep putting some of those dots there to help me figure out where they intersect. There it is. 1, 2, 3, 1. It was kind of hard to tell the way I graphed it. But this ordered pair right here is where these two lines touch. And that answer is, what is that? 4, 7. That is how you do your graphing ones. Okay, you graph both lines and figure out where they touch. Love you guys. Keep working. Let's finish this worksheet and let's crush this quiz tomorrow. Okay, I'll be around to answer questions.